looking aside, we're going to try and get going. So, I can't see what slide will be next, so it's a surprise for all of us. So, I do want this kind of, first of all, hi, I'm Justin. I do want this discussion to be just that, a discussion. So, if anytime you have any questions or statements that you want to share with the class, by all means, go ahead at any time. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And first, my mother's going to distribute some paper and pens, and I want you to write down why you chose to attend this presentation and what you hope to get from it. And yeah, I'll give you guys a second to do that, and then maybe we'll read a couple of them and touch on that.
Yes.
She'll be my assistant.
Yes. Anyone ready? I collected. Okay, good. No, you keep that. Okay. Take your time. Take your time. Anyone else? Take your time. No worries. Is there anyone left? Do I have everybody? No, you're waiting for one, which is fine. Take your time. Perfect. So I do have everyone's right? Nope, that's okay. I was double checking. Okay, so we got some great stuff here. I'm here to support my daughter in discovering who she is. Just thought this would be an important and interesting talk. To be there for my daughter in exploring the issue of sexuality. Awesome. To understand what I am better. To learn more about how to support our transgender team. Beautiful. I am gay. Beautiful. I want to learn. Oh, did you write in the back? I want to be an ally and be more knowledgeable to be a good ally. Okay, you're going to have to tell me because I want to read what you said. I'm sorry.
I'm old and I want to learn. My kids are sick of explaining things to me. I want to be an ally and be more knowledgeable to be a good one. Awesome. Okay, great.
That's amazing. Those are some great answers. Wow, that's awesome. So that kind of answered this question. But, you know, what kind of discussion should we be having around gender and sexuality? It is important. It's an important part of who we are. And, you know, it helps us understand ourselves and can better understand other people. And it can be a really delicate subject for some people, and it's very hard to talk about. Not everybody has a support system, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, so let's see. Okay, so I think, you know, kind of reiterating what I just said, to understand somebody else, you have to understand yourself. And it's a lot easier once you've kind of gone through your own journey and your own self-discovery to understand the struggles of somebody else and to acknowledge them. And because, you know, no two stories are the same. Everybody in the LGBT community has a different story, even if it is the same, you know, identity. Everybody's different, and so it's important to talk about this stuff. So just to, you know, acknowledge some more of this stuff. It's a very personal topic. It's a very, you know, it really kind of shapes your identity a little bit because it can determine who you're going to be with. It's very complex and individual. And we all know that a lot of people have very strong opinions about other people's gender and sexuality. I'm sure we've all have great encounters with people like that. But that this is a safe place to talk about it. And there'll be no judgment here, and you know, we're all family here. And understanding and respect is really important. You know, even if you can't understand, you know, where someone else is coming from, but to respect it and honor that, and just acknowledge that, you know, they're on their journey and they are where they are. So again, now what I want you to do, this is your cue, to write your name, the sexuality you identify with, and the gender you identify with. And we're not going to collect these unless you want to share with us, that's great. But yeah, this is just so that you can write it down, really, you know, go inward and see what you feel and who you want to be and who you are. No. Okay. Well, awesome. Looks like you guys know yourselves pretty well, which is good. So next I have a math problem for all of you guys. No, I'm kidding. What this is, these numbers are a lot more meaningful than if they were part of a math equation. These are the 58 genders that Facebook recognizes. So you can list yourself as any of these 58 genders that they have on their website. New York City, which is the city that we are in for this conference, recognizes 31 different genders. But there are lists with hundreds of them, over 100 different genders. But the only one that matters to you is yours, the one that you identify with. And you know, that journey is long for some people. So this is a list of the genders you can choose from on Facebook. You know, there's transgender, cisgender. There's ones on here that I have not come into contact with, like Two-Spirit. I'm not familiar with that, so if anybody in the room would like to, who is Two-Spirit, would like to enlighten me, feel free. But yeah, I think this is incredible, and for the people who have come so far to discover who they are and are proud of it, and they can display it on such an open platform, I think is really incredible. And so next, we'll always talk about gender. We're going to talk about gender roles. And you know, I don't have my presenter's notes, so I have this little thing right now, and I can't remember right off the top of my hat here. But basically, gender is enforced through capitalism, through media. We're told how to act, what to wear, what to do, what to say from the very beginning. We even gender toys. Barbies are for girls, Transformers are for boys, and stuff like that. And it's very enforced. And but what I was going to say before I encountered all of these technical difficulties was that it has, back ages ago, it was more cookie cutter, and women and men were viewed as one gender, but women were still viewed as lesser. And once the Industrial Revolution hit and capitalism started to, kind of separate men and women as two different genders and kind of try to put them in stereotypes, that's kind of where some of the root of the women's movement comes, because they were placed into the submissive role and have to stay at home and stuff like that. But, gender is, there are a lot of subtle ways that we are told and taught to be a certain way. And to unlearn that can be a very difficult process. Even if you identify with the gender that you were assigned with at birth, you were still taught to be that gender, you know what I mean? So it's a very interesting process to, even if you are comfortable with your gender and you've already figured it out, to just expand your knowledge is a great thing to do. But it's difficult because society is telling us not to. So I know you guys are all itching to know about me, and I'm itching to talk about me. So I'm here and I'm giving this presentation, and asked me to do this presentation because I came out as bisexual however many years it was I guess publicly about a year ago. But it would have been a lot sooner if, the root of my story is that, growing up, I was attracted to women, and I never questioned that. And then when I turned about 15, I started having an attraction to men. And I was like, okay, that's fine, I'm gay. But when I said that out loud, I never had a problem with that. But when I said that out loud, it didn't really resonate. I was like, no, that's not right, because I've had relationships with women, and they were very meaningful, and I'm attracted to women. And I was like, so then I'm straight. But that wasn't right, because I'm having these feelings for men. So for a good 3 years, I went back and forth thinking I had to be one or the other. Like, that was it, And I was so scared to commit to one of them because that was it. I had to commit, and I had to suppress this other side of feelings that I had. So I kind of just lay low, didn't really talk about it, for about 3 years. And I had heard the term bisexual before, but all I knew about bisexuality was what the media paints it as, which is that they get around, they can't commit to one person, and that's not me. And so when I actually met somebody who was bisexual and learned more about what it was, not just on the surface level that is presented to us, I realized, yes, that's it, that's what I am. And labeling is not for everybody. Some people are like, well, I don't like to label bisexuality, and that's great. But finding the label bisexual was very important to me because I didn't have one for so long, and not by choice, because I didn't think there was one. And so that's why I always have to say, actually, I'm bi, because almost everybody I know, even my best friends who I've known for years, the last 2 relationships I was in with men, and they would always refer to me as gay, all the time. And they still do, even though I'm not with anybody, they still refer to me as gay. And I don't have a problem with that, except for that's not what I am. Being with a man does not make me any less bisexual, and being with a woman does not make me any less bisexual. And it's a race a lot, and that's difficult for me because I don't want to, have to correct everybody, but it's almost like, especially when I was in, my last 2 relationships, everybody assumed I was gay, and then I almost had to come out again as bisexual. And, so that was my story, sort of, in short. And there's still a lot that I don't know about myself, and a lot about sexuality and gender that I don't know. But what I do know is growing up being a man in society and having to deal with hypermasculinity, and the pressure to be, obviously masculine, and suppress your emotions, and the gender role of having to be the provider, and all of that stuff that I never really thought about until something clicked and I started noticing it. I started noticing these little ways that people, or society really, to try and get me to be this certain way. And on being bisexual, the biphobia of being erased and not having representation or having bad representation, like I mentioned earlier. And there's still more that I don't know about that. But that's what I know so far. And I know everybody who is going through this journey knows a lot about themselves too. And so I'd like to open this up for discussion. And I want to hear your guys' story if you're willing to share it. And if you have any questions or anything, there was a lot more planned, but like I said, we couldn't get this to work very well. So if you have any questions, go ahead. It might spark something. I don't know. But yeah, let's just get talking and yeah. If anybody has any questions.
You said that it took you a few years. You really didn't know. You didn't know. You needed more information about who you were. Like, what would you turn to if you're afraid to really talk to anybody about it, or like why did it take that long, and what do you think someone can do if they're wondering what to do in that situation?
Well, I didn't really go to anybody. I mean, I obviously could have gone to my parents. I knew that they would be fine with it. But at the same time, I thought that I was so weird because I was both and neither at the same time. And I think, it's hard to really tell somebody that you're there for them and have them really mean it. And have them really understand that you can come to me and talk about however weird you think you are. It's fine, And my best friend came out just before I started feeling this way, and she came out as a lesbian, and I got to talk to her about this, and that helped a lot. And so that was kind of serendipitous, I think, because I don't know what I would have done, and I had support fall into my lap that I knew was there for me, and that was great. And that gave me the confidence to, say who I am and be comfortable with who I am. But, I think you have a lot of resources around you, and as scary as it is, just, to go to your parents, if you do know, like in my situation, I knew they'd be fine with it, but I was still scared. To just go with them, and, if you know you're going to be safe, and you know that everything's okay, just go to people who you know, even though it's still scary, to go to people who you know will accept you anyway. And just get it out. Like, don't spend so much time editing in your head what you're going to say. Just start saying it. And it'll form as it comes out, and you will also form as you come out.
Can I ask why was it hard to tell your parents when you did this?
I think it was hard because everything I had seen and read and watched told me that it was hard. Told me that nobody was going to accept it, whatever you are. And I think there was just a part of me that was overthinking it so much and was so anxious that I thought, well, what if they really aren't okay with it? Or what if, my friends aren't okay with it? Or this or that? And, I came out to my parents privately, and then it actually took being in a relationship with a man and his support to come out publicly. Like, I posted on social media, everything, and that was I had a lot of anxiety that day. But yeah, I think because it's so unfortunate, we have come a long way, but there are still people who are in situations where their parents don't approve, or their family members don't approve, and that's really all you hear, that's all I heard anyway. And so I thought, well, that's how it's going to be, because nobody really accepts you, right? Like that, no way. And I guess I just was so focused on the negative because I was so scared. And I think it can get away for a lot of people, and that's why a lot of people are so discreet about it and don't come out, perhaps when they want to. I think it's really all just fear-based, and that's why safe spaces are really important, I think, to go and meet other people who are like you and who you can talk to, who aren't, your straight parents.
And, we're his parents. And we were always no big deal at all, and we're vocal about it. And so it was very interesting for that 15, 14, when you actually told me, I remember, and of course, they told me, I was like, I just want you to be happy, of course, this no big deal. But I was interested, it was interesting to realize that he was, even with all that openness and support, he knew darn well there was just real, he had no issue with it at all. You know, that he still was society influenced.
Right.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah?
Do you know how you would like the easiest way to confess sexual gender? Like, if you like,
I'm sorry, what?
you say it.
She's just wondering, how would you, if you had feelings for someone of
Mhm.
the same gender, how do you express that, I guess, being newly discovered of these
Right.
feelings of yourself?
Right. Well, you know, unfortunately, one of the challenges that LGBT people still face is we don't have the luxury of not knowing someone else's sexuality, because that can become, especially in the case like if I found a guy attractive and I went and I tried to initiate conversation. He could be a huge homophobe, and that could be really dangerous for me. So you have to be careful. Unfortunately, you still have to be careful. And you have to kind of try and pick up on clues, and that doesn't mean anything, you know, it could just be a stereotype. But, you know, that's also why I think a label for me was important, like as bisexual, because, you know, we don't know if somebody else will be offended by our attraction to them, which sounds crazy. It should be flat. Oh, thank you. You know, you should be flattered. But I think, you know, if you really have feelings for them, to just kind of like let your heart speak. You know, like tell them how you feel about them. And I think it's probably pretty easy to judge if they are going to react negatively or positively, and you know, try befriending them first and see really what they view, and if it is safe to tell them, I have feelings for you, this or that, whatever. I think that would be, I've never really had to encounter that because I've always known somebody else's sexuality before I became romantically involved with them. But yeah, I think just take it slow at first until you're sure. You're not 100% sure necessarily, just sure enough to feel comfortable to tell them how you feel about them and that you want to be with them. That's what I would do.
That's hard when I
It's hard, you know, so young, you know,
Yeah.
it was hard for her to tell us, and, you know, at first we're like, but, you know, we're very accepting, whatever makes you happy, that makes us happy, you know, that's what we want.
And being active in your, you know, I don't know where everybody's from, but where I'm from in St. Petersburg, Florida, we have a very active and embracing LGBT community. And that is another good outlet. You know, go to events, you know, as a family even. You know, be active, keep up with that, and that can be another good outlet to at least meet people who are also LGBT, who you can at least talk to and have a support system around it like that too.
Any other questions?
Statements?
I was going to read some of these, maybe we could expand on them. To understand what I am better. Can you maybe speak a little bit to that? You know, you served for years because of the things that you expressed, but were there any points that really helped you along your journey to understand, to come to the bisexual identification?
Well, no. But the thing is, I was so determined to discover what I was. And looking back on it now, I realized that there was nothing wrong with not knowing yet. And I knew that something was different, something was up, but there was nothing wrong with not being at the top of the mountain yet and knowing exactly who you are. Just because I was so focused on having to pick a label to tell people. But looking back, that wasn't as important, and I still had you know, meaningful moments in relationship with men when I was not out yet, and that were just as meaningful as the ones that I had after I came out. And I think, for me, if I could go back and tell myself that there's no rush, it's not a race, you don't have to know who you are right now. There are, you know, it takes a long time, and it still changes. Sexuality and gender are both very fluid, and they change a lot. And it's not set in stone. So I think to understand who you are better is to just let it happen. And there will be events that happen to you in life, you know, that will help you understand it. And it's just not really something that can be planned, I think. And there are, you know, advocates in media, like celebrities who do rarely, but who do speak on issues like this. And, you know, just to know that there is support for you out there, even if it's not immediate, for me was helpful. And that's what I wish that I had more of, was more representation of what I identify with. Okay.
And then this kind of speaks to learn more about how to support our transgender team. How could Joe and I have been more supportive? And I don't feel like, oh, you know, this isn't a blame game. I'm just genuinely, you know, knowing how open we were, and you know, what could we have done that would have helped you to know that we support you more?
Well, there really, I mean, nothing. You guys were fine. You did a good job. But, you know, when I was younger, I mentioned a little bit earlier about this, how toys are gendered, and how Barbies are for girls, and everything else, are, you know, other stuff are for boys, and stuff like that. But when I was younger, I didn't like get that, so I wanted to play with the Barbie and the Transformer because I was having fun. And the parents of my young friends, like, that totally shook them. Like, they were like, why is he playing with the girls' toys? And, you know, I know that was always an issue that I didn't have. I was young and I was having fun. I didn't really care. I wasn't aware of, like, the apparent gravity of the situation. But maybe you can speak a little bit about that, because that was weird for some people, you know, is defying the gender norm, which I know is not completely relatable to transgender, but, you know, right, it definitely raised a few eyebrows, which looking back now is even more silly, because they're just toys, and the fact that we gender them, period, is ridiculous, but that's what makes money, so that's what businesses want.
Well, I actually can't, this is to share one story that is related. So when he would girl toys too, right? And I had a friend, a really good friend, we had met a few times and did a couple play dates. When she found out that, you know, he had dolls and all that kind of stuff, she actually said to me, aren't you afraid he's going to be gay? And I was like, no, nor does it matter, you know, but, you know, no. What toys you play with has nothing to do with your sexuality, actually, you know, first bottom line. But just they are, it just kind of shows how it is linked, you know, the assuming that if you're going to play with what the society says is a girl toy, that means when you're, that's even linked to your sexuality. That's just how far off the mark we are, you know, with that. And that was one particular one that stuck out.
So if you had just taken the Barbies away, you could just straight then. No
Yeah.
more Barbies for you, you're straight.
Right, yeah.
How intolerant that was of, you know, homosexuality anyway. You know, that was like another complete issue. But that was one issue. And I know he would put a doll. He'd go with Joe to like Subway carrying a doll, and I mean they would like, wow, that's so cool that a dad would let the son be. I mean, you know, so we had a lot of those little things. But he was breaking the gender stereotypes, and we supported him, you know, no matter what. But I was affected, you know, I'm not going to say I wasn't, just because you don't want your kid to suffer any, you know, hatred, you know, so there's that piece to it. But yeah.
Sort of like a related thing that I was thinking about with, you know, parents being supportive. And first of all, like, well, okay, we're unschoolers and we live in Boulder, so I know that like has nothing to do with the rest of the world. But like in my kids' community, it's just like they don't even like literally, believe it or not, it's like nobody. Oh, that, you know, oh yeah, that friend is trans, or you know, this person's non-binary and this person's pan. This is how like what I said about my kids. Like, I'm like, what does that word mean? And back when I was little, there was gay, straight, or bi. I didn't know what's pansexual. So like I do ask my kids a lot of questions, and for the kids, it really seems that it could just be our community, but I mean it's really like a non-issue. But then several of their friends don't have supportive parents, and so it hurts me. Like my daughter's friend comes over, his name is Mint, and his mom still calls him Isabella. And it just like kills me every time she calls and it's like, I'm picking up Isabella, it's Isabella. So, because I've never known him as Isabella. And I just wonder about these parents and like, is there a way to, it's not my job really to educate the parents, but is there a way to help the kids that are not yours who are hanging out with your kids?
Well, I think those, for us, it's very hard to change the name. It's not an easy thing. You know, I called her Tansy for 16 years. Now I gotta change the name. It's super hard for me just to let go of the normal. What I've been calling her for life, and now we're changing names, so it's not easy.
Yeah.
So that's something still to learn. It's just a name, but it's my
The name you gave
right.
the child
It's
is
a lot of
one.
thought, and now we gotta change the name. Tansy is a different name altogether, but she puts it as gay as fuck. That's her words, so it's just so hard.
Childish.
Yeah, it's childish, but
What is your child's name?
Tillian.
And when did he identifies as he. So he was identified as non-binary for the last 2 years or so, or gender fluid, and only since the beginning of this year that, like you said, things, didn't feel right. Like for a while it was okay, but then, around just before birthday this year, it's like that doesn't make it anymore. So it's only been, a few months. So we found, there's actually a team group, safe spaces, that we were lucky enough to be able to connect with, and we found a really great group of kids and volunteers, which is awesome. But we're just a little worried about the rush, because he really wants to start hormones, and so that's where we're kind of like, let's just slow down a little. Like you said, it's fluid, it can change, and so we're just a little worried about the rushing into the,
Dad's having a hard time.
It takes time to adjust for the parents too. You can be as accepting as can be, but still, it's a shock to your system.
Well,
it's just scary because of it's like,
Permits.
not even that, like, I totally, like, whatever makes him happy, but it is a scary world, like, for this little person who, looks very female to go into.
Well, and I think that's the crux of it for me too, is that it's scary for the parents. And, I'm sure you guys can speak to it being scary too. No, that's not what I'm saying, but we also come from a different era where it was super homophobic, right? So we carry that with us even though we're accepting and supportive. And my biggest, was always fear of other people. And so true that previous year. How old is he? He's 17. 17? And so we just wanted to look into that now.
Yeah, we just had actually the first appointment with the endocrinologist the other day, so, but he even was like, hey, we need to deal with some other stuff first, it was kind of slow, what's the rush, because he has a lot of anxiety as well anyway, which the misgender makes worse. So the doctor was able to kind of say, this isn't going to make that all better. Hormones actually make that worse. So we kind of got to get all that a little bit sorted too, because it's not going to kind of make it better. Not right away, maybe eventually. But
I'm not, I have no personal experience yet to speak of. But I guess just in thinking about my daughter's friend, my gut feeling is sadness for him that his parent, because it might be just hard for the parents, and you of course have empathy for them, and I don't know them, but I know who they are, but I'm not friends with them. But I keep thinking from the child's perspective that it would feel like rejection, like you don't want it, you don't want me to be who I really am. If I say I'm male and you won't call me by my preferred name, you're telling me it's not okay. And the same with hormones and whatever else the child feels like. To you, it's like you want to make sure, and I totally get that.
Yeah.
Of course, in that situation, I'm thinking about this teenager, and that it's really important to him, and he wants to develop as a man, not as a woman. And now is like the time, right, in their teenage years, and I just feel like, and it could be just that family because there's no acceptance there. But I mean, and I can't talk from the child's point of view because I'm not that child, just as a bystander watching. I feel like, well, does he feel like his parents don't accept him, or and the more you wait, so now he's very small, so he's going to be a small man. Because by the time that he's an adult to make his own decisions, he's already going to be growing. So
Which is why, yeah, we had said, like, we'll support him if that's what it is right now, although, they've said, like, this is gonna make you grow taller, you can fill out a little bit, have a little more manly features, fat distribution around the waist and that kind of stuff, so you look a little bit more manly, but you're not gonna grow taller and be a tall man.
right, now he's 17.
Well, even, especially at 17, but even if it's kind of genetically, but eventually you're going to be, So, but yes, especially at 17, like puberty's over now, so that's not going to change that.
You feel like I'm sorry for.
No,
just,
go ahead,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
so interested in like so. Do you feel like your upset is from like this little girl, or worry about how he's going to be treated out in the world, or like mixed or something else?
Or there's so many things. Upset about losing my little girl for sure. But also acceptance later on. And we have a very supportive Prime Minister. That was one of my things from Canada. This is the best time for anything ever. We've got groups like this, we've got a great government in place, I think, for this kind of thing. We not everything else, but I think for LGBTs, really good.
Very vocally supportive the LGBT communities for our, we're in a province that's way behind, but hopefully our province will get to that. But mine's more just acceptance in the world. For me, I never had expectations of, oh, the little girl in the white dress and getting married. I couldn't care about that. That doesn't interest me. He's still, the same person.
I think in a way, it's hard for people to, acknowledge who they are, but I think it is a little easier nowadays because it is becoming more acceptable. Not everywhere, some places it's brutal, but a lot more people are realizing, hey, they were born like this, and this is how they're wired, and that's it. You don't choose
That's right.
what you're going to be. You are who you are. And I think a lot more people are starting to accept it, realize it, hopefully vote.
Yeah, and we do have a long way to go with that. But even just him being who he is and knowing who he is and being proud of that and being out there, he's providing representation, and he is maybe paving the way for somebody else who has been questioning things, and just him, whether he goes on hormones or whatever that he chooses to do, this path that he's starting is going to be part of the change that's going to eventually culminate, and so that's very brave and incredible that he's started taking this journey. That's great.
Another quick question. So when you were those kind of 3 years, when you were not sure and all that, what did you do? A lot of internet searches and read about bisexuality, or
No, because like I said, I think I was just so anxious about it all the time that I couldn't think clearly enough to research it that well. I kind of just didn't think about it. Honestly, I was like, I tend to keep myself busy with other things and focus on other things. But yeah, no, I kind of just waited for something to happen, and that's probably not the best approach to take. And luckily now it like kind of worked out. But yeah, I think researching was not a tool that I made available for myself, but that is a very good resource to have. There's a lot of great information out there, a lot of good articles and stuff. Yeah?
So, like, how would you find people who are, like, same age as you, or into some genders?
Well, do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 13.
13? Okay. So yeah, 13.
It's hard being a minority like that. And like I said, I don't know if you guys have a very good LGBT community where you're from. Sort of, not really, yeah. But some of it is like I have a circle of friends that are all LGBT, and it was really pure luck that we all became friends. But I'm sure that there are kind of like how as unschoolers we create groups of people. We surround ourselves with people who are like-minded, and we have co-ops and conferences and stuff like that. I'm sure that there are things very similar to that for people in your situation who don't, know a lot of people who are like you and stuff like that. So yeah, I think just looking it up, seeing what's near you, stuff like that, and yeah, just getting out there.
Well, in this community, at an unschooling conference, I don't know how well you know the other kids do, but I think that you could tell probably any kid, here, this is what's going on in my life, and they would let you know, or maybe you can like see if there's other kids that are in the same situation and having the same fears, or a little bit older, and get some more comfort from that situation. Yeah.
I think about me as I'm really shy, so it's kind of hard.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard, and being shy or introverted and having to do something so brave is a hard mix. It's hard, and I know that before I kind of went on this journey, I was really shy, and it really just kind of forced me out, and not forced me out, forced me out of my shell. And again, it's just having to pave your way like this, and be true to who you are, and seek other people who are like you is help making the change. And so, I know it's really hard. It's really hard to find people who are like you and find support. But every step that you take into doing that for yourself is going to make your life better, and it's going to make other people's lives better, and it's going to inspire other people. And yeah, it is hard, and I think yeah, that's hard.
What just popped in my head is, they have computers now that have for over 18, dating things where you can like fill out all this stuff in your sexuality. It's too bad, I'm just thinking of your situation, that they don't have
like an online safe space.
Online
like that.
safe place, catered to 13, 14, 15, etc., where you could go through a whole process, because what a difference, because in this right away, your sexuality is there listed, so you know that they're, we'll have to worry about sharing that. Yeah, someone needs to invent that. Experience.
Yeah.
So mine's a software person. Is that it would go like wildfire eyes, my feeling, because it would be so needed and it would create a safe place to connect.
Well, I really like.
What?
Okay, like there's a game called like Go Heart, and I've met people on there who are that prefer the same gender and stuff, but they're way older than me. So it's like I still talk to them because they understand what I'm going through. So it's like
that's great. You know, they've been through a lot of stuff, and I'm sure they have a lot of guidance to offer you, and that is a great first step. It's obviously better than nothing. And you know, through games and online social media and stuff like that is a great way to reach out to people. Even if it's just regular people who play games, or maybe somebody who's an advocate or something, shoot them a message and be like, hey, I'm going through this. What, you know, in your very expert advice should I do? And so the internet is a great resource to, you know, find people who can help you.
Feel like it'd be better if there were people, like, you know, like you said.
Yeah,
Do you know
definitely.
the future age that you're doing before?
No, this is our first time.
Because I have a 13-year-old, and I mean, I know from her, well, and because of, like, I know there's a trans team that's hanging out, and I just know that because I used to know him as the other gender. But, the kids are so open and also wanting to, even my daughter,
That would be great, and she's very shy, so I don't know. You know, dealing with all this as
you
it is,
just stand there
and
and say
yourself.
anything.
Yeah.
Did you go to the youth and teen panel by any chance? No, because there was one of the girls where she mentioned LGBT. Anyway,
I can't remember
she's
who it
here.
was. She was like an activist, and she did a lot of
Yeah, she's
activism.
an LGBT activist, and she was about maybe 14 or 15.
Yeah, I think it was Alyssa.
So I can connect, I'll find her, you know, and just introduce you.
Yeah, all the kids here are very accepting and, you know, LGBT themselves, and this is a really good place to do. Everybody's here is super accepting, and they honor introverts and shy people really well here. I think that's really great. There's a whole like lounge somewhere around here for introverted people. That's great. So this is a good a good way to meet
And they
people.
have the unschoolers already, like they have a Facebook chat and a page for themselves that they've been on since 2013. So like, our guys just met all their friends in person last year, that's why we came last year. They were talking online for 2 years, but they hadn't met. So they still talk every day, and they're like,
There's a special chat page or?
yeah, I'll get them today, because they talk all the time, and they're all really like, same thing, I mean, they talk to each other every day, so like, oh, so sad today, or, you know.
That's great, because it offers support and helps each other get through.
Yeah.
And I know we spoke earlier,
Yes.
and they had a lot in common. Charlie's actually even younger.
Yeah.
She's 11, but I mean, it would be great for them to connect and to be able
Definitely, because they
to
certainly have a lot.
talk, you know, whether it's email or texting. I think you really appreciate that. Exchange.
Are there stories of the parents, I guess I was asking, in terms of when you found out, and how, if they wanted to share, if not, that's fine too.
I mean, we're like, we're very open. It never, some of our best friends are gay, and our neighbors, and I'm an artist, and I've worked for, pretty much everyone I've worked for has been gay, and so I don't really think twice about it, but I know that for Charlie, she said she was nervous to tell us.
Even though I knew like that you would be okay, I was still like really nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and it's funny because when you guys were talking before, my son who was even younger, he's always been attracted to shiny things and sparkly things. And so, I mean, there have been lots of situations in his life where, we're in a store and he wants like a sparkly purse or a sparkly belt. And I have one hand haven't thought twice about buying it for him. But then on the other hand, going out, I have that moment of, what will people think if he's walking out with a sparkly purse, but still buy it. But yeah, I mean, I just like, I feel very proud of you for whatever you are, and just want to help you. I think that I feel I'm not sure how old you are, but like,
I'm 20.
you're 20. Okay, so like, I like you too. There's a lot of terminology that like I don't know at all, and I've been hearing like that. I'm like, I have no idea what this is. And so I think even compared to probably when you were first sort of, figuring things out, like you talked about, things are, I think, a lot different for kids that are younger. And Charlie's 11, but she's always been like really old. much scarier, much, you know, so, I don't know, she's very shy.
Like, the reason I feel like no is because of YouTube. Like, I was always, like, actually for really a long time, maybe, like, ever since I was, like, maybe 9 or 10, I would be like, I always kind of felt attracted to girls. So I would go on YouTube and I was like, what in the world is this? So I would search it up, and the first time I found out about, like, liking girls was from a YouTuber. Like, it was the guy that was Joey Graceffa. He is in a relationship with a boy, and that's when I found out about, like, the cisgender. And ever since that, I was just finding all these people on maybe on YouTube, and they kind of shaped me into liking girls, and I'm actually really happy about that because I feel really happy liking girls. So it's nice.
Yeah, and that's great to be, proud of who you like and who you love and who you are. And that's great. And there are, especially on YouTube, I know exactly what you mean. There are a lot of great people who, in the LGBT community, who are YouTubers, and they talk about their relationships with their significant others, and they do these like little tags and stuff like that. It's great to see that, and it's great to see that, while there is still a lot of chaos out in the world around this whole thing, that, it is okay, and people are doing okay, and, I can speak from experience. I have been very fortunate to have never faced any type of ridicule, really. I could be walking down the street holding hands with my boyfriend, and nobody will look twice at it, and I love that, and it makes me feel so happy that, like, that's even a possibility, because I know that in some places and in different times, that would have, like, been bad. That would not have ended well. But yeah, it's, finding little sparks of hope like that can really, I know it makes me proud of being a part of this community and being who I am and stuff like that.
I think it gave her the courage to be able to, well, she didn't tell us. We were on a cruise last year, and she told her brother, and then her
I
brother,
didn't even tell him on purpose.
and then he's like, you'll be fine, tell him. So she, he kind of encouraged.
No, he was like,
I probably didn't want to carry it out.
I didn't want to tell you guys, but he was just like, tell him. So I'm like, whatever, I'll tell him. So you guys, like, you didn't say much about it, so I was kind of like, oh no, they're not accepting. And then after a while, then you guys talked to me, and I know you guys.
It's not good to keep that stuff in. That's
Yeah.
why you have your parents.
Yeah, I'm glad it was nice.
Yeah, everybody who I've talked to, and myself included, especially because everybody that I know came out later in their late teens and 20s, they're always like, wow, I wish I did this earlier. I wish I came out earlier and started dating who I want to date earlier. And I know that I definitely wish that I did. Just for the sole purpose of not having to be so worried about what I am, and I can just know it's fine, this is who I am, this is who I like, whatever. So, yeah.
In talking to Rich about how you tell someone that you like them and not knowing for sure, when he did announce on Instagram, I said, and he did it in a really cool way, I thought, that he skates, and a lot of the
Figure skating
friends didn't know, right? Most of them.
None of them did.
Yeah, none of them did until he announced it on Instagram. And most of them were like mad at him that he didn't tell them. But so you understand the fear, right? But then it turned out they were like, why didn't you tell me?
They were mad that I didn't tell them that I had a boyfriend for 4 months. They were like, what? We want to hear about him. And I was like so taken aback because I thought, especially like in figure skating, it's a lot of very mainstream thinking and stuff like that, very like cookie cutter type of people. And so I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. Like, I'm going to find a different rank, do something. But they were all like so happy for me. And I remember I was a pair skater, and the girl that I did pairs with was like, I'm just so happy for you and so proud of you. Like, she just stopped me when we were training, and she's like, I saw your post, and that's great, I just want you to be happy, and like, I can't wait to meet him. And so I think a lot of people are more accepting than we think that they are. Like, we as an LGBT person, I thought that everybody was against me until I actually heard that they weren't. And I still think that. Every time I tell somebody, I'm like, this could be the end of this conversation, I don't know, but you know, it's always well received, and I'm always so happy and proud that that's where we're, you know, going.
I had a brother, my much older brother, he's deceased now, but he was gay, and he knew it from a young age, but he had to repress it, and totally different time then, and it really messed him up. He could never be who he really was. He was depressed, then he got into drinking, you know, it just, because he couldn't be his own person.
You don't live in North Carolina?
Huh?
You live in North Carolina?
I do, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, we moved to Colorado last year from Alabama, and that was a big fear of mine living in the East South, but I mean, because you never saw two guys walking down the street holding hands.
Right.
You never saw anything different than the norm, and so my worry was, well, if my kids might be gay, and they never see that it's okay, they never see it represented, it's gonna, you know, how's that gonna affect them? So living in a really inclusive place, I just like seeing that it's not an issue to the kids. Like, it's just like, this person's this one has brown eyes. I mean, it really is just that open. Great. Yeah, and I often wonder, like, you know, because my kids have, you know, several, maybe, well, 3 trans friends that I know of. And it's like, it's such a non-big deal, but I mean, the fact that there's 3 and they don't have all that many friends, I just think, like, all those cool people, like, that I went to school with and who couldn't be themselves, because when I see the number of people, I'm like, there have to be so many, you know, and I knew kids in high school who came out much later. But yeah, I mean, nobody could express that, and it just makes me really happy to see the kids they're all just.
Well, we're totally different than all of us.
I mean, they just tell me what everybody is. Oh, this friend likes this friend. Oh, and this one mom you have to call they because they don't like gender specific pronouns. Like, it is a lot to learn as a 50-year-old. Like, I've never been. I've never like had those thoughts that would you rather they were straight or, you know, like this is the white dress. Like, I just want my kids to be happy to be who they are, but I realized there's a lot I didn't know because I haven't been faced with it, and looking back, I just keep wondering, like, what it was like for people back in the 70s, 80s.
Well, I know my brother, you know, it did. I mean, I felt so bad. You know, never tell him. I think he was probably in his 30s before, and he lived far away, and he told my mother. You know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like when so when I was younger, I knew that I was cis. I never really saw people in real life who liked my gender, so that made me think that there was like only very, very, very few people.
Right.
So I felt really alone.
Yeah.
So it's like, honestly, I still feel that way now because I never see people like around like treating the same gender, like even just sitting together, like in a romantic way. I never see that, so it makes me feel like that's not ever real. Like all stuff on YouTube, it makes me feel like that's fake. Like because I never actually see it for real in real life. Like it really just hurts because I never see people like that. Like, so that's why I can't really tell. Whenever I do meet people, and I do get crushes on a few people, I never tell them because I'm like, these people are obviously not gonna like girls like I do. So I'm just like, bye. So I kind of hide and I get really scared, and then they lose interest in me because I can't talk to them anymore because the crush has gotten so bad. So then I lose that friend, and now I'm pretty much friendless. So it just makes it scary to talk to people because I'm scared I'll get crushes on them, and then I'll be able to not talk to them. So harder to talk to people because it's already terrifying to talk to people in the first place just because of being scared to talk to people. Like, I love company, I love talking to people. It makes me happy because I'm always so lonely just sitting in my room. I usually just sit in my room drawing, listening to music, and that's all I really do now because I can't talk to people. I don't have friends. So,
We'll connect you.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be
Not
nice.
for long. Not for long.
I'm going crazy.
So I'm glad we're here. If anything comes out of it, we're here.
Yeah.
That's good.
We have another daughter too, who's 14, and she's bisexual. So,
I just want to be able to know that there's, like, talk to people in real life, like girls like me, and be friends with them. And if I ever do get a crush on them, I want to be able to tell them that without feeling like it's impossible for them to actually like me.
Right.
Because, like, I have problems with myself. I don't like how I look specifically, so that makes it even harder to confess. So it's like, sometimes it's even like, okay, I like this person, they might like girls too, but then I'm like, they might not like me though. So it's like impossible to talk to people.
Right.
You know, you're
It's
really
all being a teenage. Going through all this stuff.
she's highlighting really how far we still need to go because heterosexuals do not have that. Meaning, if I, before I got married, that wouldn't even enter my brain. I mean, in other words, I wouldn't be worried about whether they like my gender, and so you just really highlighted just
And they
how
might
far.
not have though.
Well, and they might not
It's
like
our
me, but that's a little bit different than me even wondering if I'm in the right category, per se, so there's an extra layer of.
And that's kind of what I said, how, a lot of LGBT people don't have the luxury of not knowing the person interested in sexuality, because we might not even have a chance at all with them because we're not the gender that they're attracted to. They're attracted to the opposite gender. But that it all comes with experience, and it gets so much easier as you go through all this turmoil and chaos, and you just, next time you face it, you're like, well, I know how to handle this better, because I just went through it, and it sucked, but I know how to handle this better now, and I'm stronger because of it, and that's also why representation in real life is so important. And I can remember feeling so proud walking down the street with my boyfriend holding hands, because, we're making this normal, and this is becoming a thing that you see at the supermarket, and,
Disney.
in Disney, we went to Disney, and it was like we were the only same-sex couple there, and it was like, really? This is it? And so I think being a part of this community and being who you are openly and actively is really scary, really in general, but especially being, LGBT is really being the change, and even just us existing and existing proudly and loudly is changing things, and I really think it's only going to get better from here. And for everybody, primarily, it's really hard at first, whether it's because internally you're worried about what people will think, or you have outside issues, but it just gets easier and easier and easier, and I can't wait for it to get even easier.
Like, I am in a relationship, online. It's someone I know online, but they live all the way in Alaska, and then I live in New York.
I dated a man in Canada, and I'm from Florida.
God.
So that was, we did it for a year, and we were long distance, and he would come down here, and we would visit, and we would act like any other couple, and so, online resources, like we talked about earlier, are great, and you meet a lot of great people, and feelings happen, and relationships happen, and, I think long distance, my best friend met her girlfriend on the internet, on Tumblr, and they've been together for 3 years, they live together now, and she moved to Florida for her, so, if you do, you said you're in a relationship online right now, don't count that out, that has meaning, and that's great, and I'm happy for you.
The thing about it though is the fact that we live so far away, I have a really strong feeling I'll never get to meet her.
Right.
So it's kind of it's getting my hopes down because I like her, I really do a lot, but I don't know what's going on where she lives.
Right.
She might end up liking someone future on, so it's to meet someone who I really like, and they would like me back, I would have to break up with her, and it's really scary because I do like her. Like, she makes me happy. She's helped me through a lot, so it's like I want to meet her, but there's still that really high chance I'm not going to. So it makes me feel like it makes me feel like I should like break up with her. So I don't want to though, but it's like I feel like I should though, because like I don't know, I feel like I'm losing feelings to her because of the fact that we don't live together. But then there's like my brother, he's always like, you guys aren't gonna last. So it's like making me be like, I'm gonna stay with her to prove you wrong.
That's right.
It's like still, but like I want to meet someone who lives near me and get in a relationship with them, and I want to know for like 100% that I like them.
Yeah.
Like I still know I like the person I'm talking to, but I'm most likely going to move on
Right.
because like we aren't really moving. Like we aren't really. We're not getting better. We're like we don't really talk, and it's kind of like whatever we do, we're just like on a game and we're silently sitting there playing a game.
Yeah.
We never really talk. And I can tell she isn't really happy being with me because like I'm a quiet person. She's really hyper and loud, and she likes going outdoors, hiking, and doing all this free stuff. So it's like I'm not into that stuff. I'd rather be inside or outside my swing listening to music. So it's like I'm just sitting there, and she's most likely out hiking, and yeah. So it's like basically like before I came here, I was like thinking, if I meet someone who I like here and they like me back, that'd be so cool. But then like, whoa, I can't let that happen because I like this person right now. I'm in a relationship with this person, so I'm like, I can't fall in love. Yeah, it's funny, but like, in reality, it's like I want to meet someone, but I don't at the same time because if I do end up liking them, and if they end up liking me back like a lot, I have to break up with her, and she's been through a lot, so it's like it's a lot. It's a lot going on. It's complex. Yeah, like I never talk about this stuff. Like I never really said anything about thinking about breaking up with her. Cause I feel like I'm the bad guy if I'm gonna break up with her. But I'm doing this because I really do care about her, and I feel like if I don't like her as much anymore, then I should probably break up with her. But I'm not gonna do that until I find someone and confess to them, and then I end up like saying they like me back, and then I'm in love with her. We're so close though. I just have this feeling she won't really want to be my friend anymore. And honestly, I don't want to be her friend after everything we've been through. It's like being her friend after we've been in a relationship. I just don't want to go through
I
that.
know exactly.
It'd be so awkward. And
I know what you mean.
yeah, like so if I do find someone and I do end up liking them, and if I have the courage to tell them I like them, and they end up liking me back a lot, we actually have a chance of we live closer and we can go to their house, like we just hang out, and they like video games like I do hopefully, then I'll probably end up breaking up there and going with that person. I mean, it's my first relationship, so I'm sure there's a lot of great people in the world to meet. But like I said, I'm not going to end anything with her until I do find someone, because if I end up being alone, I'd be really, really, really bad. So, yeah.
How do you communicate with her? Is it like
We use Skype, Pearl Hearts, texting, and we use social media. That's how we talk. Like Skype, we'll show our faces, talk, laugh. It's like that. But like, I never get to actually be around her. So that's the thing. Like, if I do ever, like the thing, I'm always thinking like, I'm gonna be out with her when I'm older. They're gonna solid land, and then you're like, what if I meet her and it's not like how it is now? There's a chance we won't like each other the tiniest bit, and we might end up hating each other. So it's kind of like, I'm honestly like, she's had chances to meet me, like, but I'm always like, I don't think that would work out now. Like, we should probably plan another time, like another day to meet, like maybe when we're older. Because I don't want to have the chance of not liking her when we meet, and I already kind of, we're not as close as we were, so that's a really, really high chance.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I was in a long distance relationship with a man for a year, so I know everything you're saying. I'm like, yep, no, I know exactly what she means. And I think, if your feelings are fading anyway, and it is scary to be alone, especially because finding somebody else quickly or whatever is not guaranteed, in general, honestly, but especially, for people like us, I think if it's going downhill, to just, take a break, maybe just be on your own for a while, and that sucks, and it's scary, and it's lonely, but it can be empowering, and that's where you can grow a lot as a person. And, every relationship you have helps you realize what you want for the next one even more. And, my friend actually told me this advice. I was going through something similar to that, and she's like, your first relationship, or the early ones, don't have to be the last one. It doesn't have to be the one. It can be the 11th one. So it's experience, and that's gonna help you grow and who you are, and being gay and all that stuff. And it's scary, but a lot of times it's just about taking the leap and just trying to adapt the best you can, and just get through it until the chaos kind of settles down. But yeah, long distance is really hard, and it's common in the LGBT community because we don't know in our circle who is and who isn't and all that. But I think if you know that you can find somebody, and you want to find somebody in person and stuff like that, I say just take the risk and be available and be on your own and embrace who you are, and kind of be in a relationship with yourself for a little while. Like, spoil yourself, treat yourself, and then other people will come into your life.
It's like, when I get along, you want to set yourself free so you can be open. Because if you're saying, oh, I don't want to be alone, then you're kind of putting up walls. That's right.
And you're giving another person the power of your happiness, by saying, well, if I'm alone, I'm unhappy, and that makes me unworthy of all this stuff. And it's not as easy as just to take back the power, but you gotta just take back the power and say, well, I can be happy on my own because I, can love somebody, but my happiness does not have to completely dwell within them,
Like, yeah, I'm gonna probably end up ending her with her, like, but I'm probably gonna wait a couple years, I'll make friends with you guys' daughters, son. I don't care, I just want friends.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna experience friendship, be able to talk to people again, maybe get rid of some of my shyness, so I won't be as nervous around people. And once I'm in really good friendship with these people, and if I start getting crushes on one of them, and I know that they were at least attracted to the same gender as me,
That's half the battle.
then I will think about confessing to them.
Yeah.
But I want to wait a while and understand them better and know what they've been through, so that I can't hurt them, because I really don't want to hurt anyone.
Right. And to realize that even if the feeling isn't neutral or it doesn't work out, it's experience, and next time you're in a situation, it's going to be even better, because you are going to be calmer, and you're going to know, all right, I went through this last time, and I know how to handle this now. And this is just going to be experience, and I'm still here, I survived it. It was not permanent, the sadness was temporary, and it's going to be even better next time.
Yeah, I'm just scared when I do eventually break up with her, I'm just nervous because she's kind of like, she's going through a lot. Like, her parents aren't really good, so yeah, they're not accepting of her, so I feel like if I do end up doing that, it will hurt her a lot. I don't want to hurt her.
Do you have friends who are unschooled? I mean, are you making you, or you say you have no friends, but like,
Not unschoolers, no.
yeah, because school kids are so different. And
Yeah.
there's like, because my daughter she's now going to alternative high school, she's 16, but she chose that this year. But she had always been unschooled, but she was a dancer, and she would come home from dance just like appalled at what these kids were saying. Like the hazing of the freshmen by the seniors, and all this like just mean talking and the prejudices, like that was not anything that she said, why are the kids so mean? I'm like, yeah, they were like us, their age too. So if you meet some friends who are not like them, and some school kids aren't like that. It's just like you get a group of them, and I think like any kid here, I mean, I've had women have, when I was younger, have crushes on me. I was honest, but like I was like, oh, some things are pretty, So I think that open kids who are the people you really will want to be friends with, will just accept you for exactly who you are. And they don't think you're too nice or too mean, or because I think that kids who don't go to school don't really necessarily play those games.
Yeah.
In my experience.
I had a crush on someone at some point, and I would literally follow them around. Like, I was like, just whiz me, friend me. It was Alicia. She was like, left me where I would go, and I was like, okay, that was exaggerating, but I was still like, oh my gosh. But she was very straight. Yeah, like, but still, I would always try talking to her, and she was always like, she would kind of be like, she would listen, but then she wouldn't, like, she wasn't listening when she was. She was nice, but she didn't care. She didn't want to talk to me. So it's like, yeah. It's like, it's just hard to find friends because I get really lonely. Like, I have my friends online, but even then, like, online friendships never last really long to me, so it's just like, yeah. So I have these friends. They were my friends for a long time. Like, but we stopped talking, so it's kind of like, I don't really have people to talk to anymore. Like, we still do talk, but not as often. Like, barely at all. But, yeah, it's like that.
Well, this is a great place to meet people, and as you go to more conferences, you'll see them again multiple times a year. So this is a really good open door for you. Anybody have any more questions or anything? I know a couple people came in a little late, but no.
Appreciate you doing this.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up then if everybody is complete. And thank you guys for bearing with me for the technical difficulties. And yeah, thank you guys for